Once a month, Paula Pant, host of the Afford Anything podcast, answers voicemail questions the listeners send in. Here's one now.
Hey, Paula. My name is Terri, and I am newer to your website. I have a real interest in real estate and am doing my due diligence to find out what becoming a real estate investor actually means. One of my main questions that I've come across so far is, how can I find a good real estate agent? In particular, how can I find somebody that's good with short sales and foreclosures? And what are some signs of a good real estate agent? Because it seems like there's certainly going to be an important partner in the beginning of all this. Even though I love the person that sold me my home, I don't know that she's versed in real estate investment. So I'm trying to figure out some good ways to get to the bottom of finding an agent that's really going to be a resource for me in buying my first rental property. Thanks so much.
That's a fantastic question. So first of all, there's a particular certification that real estate agents can get. It's an optional certification, and it is called the Short Sales and Foreclosure Resource Certification, or SFR for short. It's issued by the National Association of Realtors. If you go to their website, which we will include the link to that in our show notes, which is at affordanything.com/episode 102, there is an online directory of realtors who are SFR certified. And so what you can do is you can type in the name of your city or your zip code and search for realtors who have specifically completed that particular certification. That's one way that you can do it. Now, another possible way, and that's just like one of many options, right? So do that. But in addition to that, here's the other thing that I would recommend. And honestly, this has yielded much better results for me. If you've identified a particular neighborhood that you want to invest in, if you narrowed your criteria geographically, take a look at the current short sales and foreclosures that are for sale within that particular area. And if you start looking at them, you'll notice that a lot of them are listed by the same one or two agents, or sometimes by the same agent team or small brokerage, a mom and pop brokerage that operates within that particular locality. The thing is, real estate is very, very local. And once you niche down, you start seeing who the players are within that market. If, as you're looking around, you don't see a huge number of properties that are currently for sale as a foreclosure or a short sale, just look at the recently sold listings. Now, again, here you're looking for the names of the agents that are representing these properties, because these are agents who, by definition, are working with short sales and foreclosures. Sometimes these agents will be representatives of a bank, or, there'll be people who don't represent buyers, but just call them up and have a conversation with them, because even if they can't represent you, they know the people who will. They can refer you to the people who they recommend that you call. Again, all real estate is local, so you only have to meet one or two players in the game before those players can start introducing you to the people that you need to know. You know who else is really good to get referrals from? And nobody ever thinks of this, and I don't know why. Contractors and inspectors. Ask them what agents they regularly work with. Particularly if you're interested in short sales and foreclosures, because those are the ones that oftentimes need a lot of fixing up. So again, all of this hinges on narrowing your search to a specific locality. And when I say specific, I don't just mean Boise or Birmingham. Like, that's too broad. I'm talking about the 12345 zip code. Or even more specific than that, the section of blocks in between X Street and Y Street, as framed on the east and west borders, and A Street and B Street on the north and south borders. Like, narrow your search to that tight-knit geographic area, and then just start paying attention to all of the goings-on that are happening in that area. And in real estate, it's fairly obvious, right? Like, if you're driving around, or even if you're not physically there, if you're just Google Earthing around and Zillowing around, you'll see who the agents are. You'll see if there's a contractors, you'll see their signs in the yard. You'll see the names of the major contracting firms that have pulled permits. You'll see, if you're using Google Maps, you'll see the name of the plumbing company that is located in that district. And unless they totally suck, the plumber that's located right there is most likely going to be the plumber that services that area. And they'll know who, that plumber's going to know which general contractor he or she typically likes to work with. Or they may directly be able to tell you about, oh, these are the agents that I like to work with. These are the property managers that I like to work with. Again, once you narrow it to a very specific geographic area, then you get into the zone where everybody knows everybody. So that's the other way that you can do it. But again, if you don't know yet where you want to invest, the SFR Directory, which we will link to in the show notes, is a really good way of getting that process jump-started. Again, those show notes are at affordanything.com/episode 102. Oh, you also asked about the hallmarks of a good agent versus not a bad agent, but an agent that isn't suited for investments. Woo! Oh, I could go on for hours about this. But the TLDR of it is, first of all, if the agent talks to you in the way that an agent would talk to an owner-occupant, walk away. Any agent worth their salt who represents investors knows that an investor does not care about, oh, it's so cute. Oh, look, the yard is so big. Oh, all that stuff that agents say to primary residents. The emotional appeal of selling a house. Agents who work with owner-occupants, many of them are well-versed in making statements that hearken to the emotional appeal of visualizing yourself in a home. Oh, look at the fireplace. The kids will love it. You're an investor. You don't care about that. And when you talk to an agent for the first time, you're going to let them know that you are an investor. And if, in spite of that knowledge, they try to sell you on some emotional appeal, then that means that they're not speaking your language. And you've got to move on. The other red flag are agents who assume that they know what you want. So oftentimes as an investor, when I approach a new agent and I tell them that I'm an investor, a lot of times I've noticed that they assume that that means that I am chasing appreciation. And so then they start talking about, oh, I think this house is totally going to go up in value, or I think this neighborhood is totally going to go up in value. And of course, they're not allowed, technically, quote unquote, they're not allowed to make any investment projections, but they'll certainly strongly hint at their hope or anticipation that this neighborhood's going to rise. Real estate always goes up. I have two problems with that. Number one, I'm not chasing appreciation. As it's clear from everything I've said earlier, I assume that a property will merely keep pace with inflation and nothing better. If it happens to do better, sweet, that's icing on the cake. But if it doesn't, I'm still satisfied with the cap rate that I am getting on that property. I'm still satisfied with the income stream that I'm getting from that. And I'm satisfied with the total return that cap rate plus the inflation-only appreciation provides. In other words, I'm not chasing appreciation, and if an agent just assumes that I am, I see that as a red flag. And particularly if an agent makes that assumption and then I correct them and then they continue to make statements that bear that assumption, that's not even a red flag. That's whatever color is redder than red. That's so red that it's a heat signature. All right, dorky science joke. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Here's the other thing. Agents don't have any skin in the game after the transaction is complete. So if they say, oh yeah, I really think this neighborhood's going to go up in value, and then it doesn't, well, guess what? They're not accountable for that statement. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm not saying that they're deceptive. I myself am a licensed real estate agent. I don't represent anybody. I just only buy and sell my own properties. But hey, actually, I don't even sell my own properties. I just buy my own properties. But I guess my point is, I'm not trying to insult them as a group of people. I myself am one of them. I am merely pointing out the fact that the incentive structure is set up in such a way that even if they honestly think that a neighborhood will go up in value, they're still not going to suffer if it doesn't. That's why it's so critical, in my opinion, not to make any investments based on appreciation. I believe appreciation is speculation. And the best definition that I heard to differentiate speculation from investing is that speculation is based on hope, whereas investing is based on earnings. But yeah, back to your question, how do you assess who's a good agent and who's not? Avoid the ones who make assumptions about what they think that you want. Or worse yet, avoid the ones who tell you what you should want. That's all up to you. Oh, and final tip, ask the agent if they own any rental properties. And if so, how many? And for how long? And how well are they doing? And where are they located? Could you drive by and see them from the outside? That last question might be pushing it for, privacy's sake. But still, before I got my license, I worked with an agent once who had 2 rental properties, 2 single-family homes in the same area where I was buying a home. She gave me the address for both of them, and I drove by and I saw them from the outside, and they were both just a couple of blocks away. So yeah, that's the other way to know if an agent is good. Just essentially figure out, hey, are you one of us?
Hey, did you enjoy this excerpt from the Afford Anything podcast? Then be sure to subscribe to Paula's YouTube channel. Not only is every podcast episode and Ask Paula question released here on YouTube, other creative deep thought videos are created just for you. Remember, you can watch anything, just not everything. Fill your YouTube viewing time with more videos to make you think and grow so you can afford anything. Go ahead, hit that little red subscribe button. We'll take care of the rest.